You're listening to the Journey to Launch podcast, lessons on achieving your life and money goals from 3 years of podcasting, plus Journeyer voicemail.
T-minus 10 seconds.
Welcome to the Journey to Launch podcast with your host, Jamila Souffrant. As a money expert who walks her talk, she helps brave journeyers like you get out of debt, save, invest, and build real wealth. Join her on the journey to launch to financial freedom in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, hey, journeyers. We are back with another special episode. You know, we've been celebrating all month long. It's the 3-year anniversary month of the podcast, but this episode is going to be pretty special. Yeah. You say that every time, Jamila, but it is because guess what? You are going to hear from Journey to Launch podcast listeners, journeyers who are phoning in and celebrating the 3-year anniversary with me and with you. So you'll get to hear maybe your voice if you send in your voice note on the podcast. But before we hop into that, I do want to talk about just some overall lessons I've learned since having the podcast for 3 years that I know will apply or can apply to wherever you are on your financial journey or your career journey. Before we do get into the episode, I want to talk about today's sponsor who has been holding us down all month long. You Need a Budget, also known as YNAB. Now, you know that I'm obsessed with financial freedom and independence, but I call it the gift and the curse. It's the gift because you know what's possible for you and that it's an option. But the curse because once you find out about it, it feels like it's going to take forever to reach your goals. I get it. That's how I felt when I really found out what this was all about. Now, you can begin to become impatient or discouraged with the length of time it takes to reach your bigger goals. I know that firsthand because when I did discover financial independence, I was so excited. But then when I realized how long it will take me, I thought the process would take forever. And I didn't want to have to wait years and years before I experienced more time freedom and happiness. I still wanted to enjoy life and spend on the things that I valued, like going out to eat with family and friends. I didn't want to approach it with this all or nothing strategy where I couldn't spend any money again. So that's why budgeting and using YNAB changed the game for me because it allowed me to juggle my longer term goals and my immediate fun and happiness needs. So yes, the journey to financial freedom and independence takes time, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy life while paying off debt and saving for that important purchase. Now, that's why I really believe in today's sponsor, You Need a Budget. I use them personally still to this day. But you can make fully informed current spending decisions based on your immediate needs and future obligations. YNAB gives you space to roll with the punches. It's the best thing that you can do for your money. And because you don't have to always be 100% right. You don't have to be successful and perfect with your budget 100% of the time. You just have to commit to it. Commit to the process and the planning. So use YNAB's proven 4-rule method to zero in, stay focused, and give every dollar a job, so that your money is working hard for you and you can spend it on the things that matter the most. I recommend checking out You Need a Budget so that you can try it for free for 34 days. No credit card required. You can go to youneedabudget.com/journey. Once again, go to youneedabudget.com/journey. Okay, now before we hop into the content of the episode, I just got to let you know, doors to the Money Launch Club, that's the membership community for journeyers just like you who listen to the podcast, who want to reach financial freedom and independence, but need more. You need more support, you need more tools, you need more community. This membership is for you. It's an online membership, so you connect with people online, you get the resources online, but really, it's the best way to stay committed to your journey. And so doors to the Money Launch Club are currently open. They're closing tomorrow, if you're listening to this in real time, on July 23rd. I only really intend to open up doors to the Money Launch Club about twice a year. So if you are considering it, if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about joining, now is your time. Go to moneylaunchclub.com, become a master of your money, pay off your debt faster, increase your savings, get the support you need to reach your financial goals. Now, let me hop into just some things that I've learned on my path from the past 3 years that I hope can help you. And then we're going to get into the voicemail from journeyers and listeners. So one, I want to talk about consistency and persistency. I always say that I'm consistent and persistent AF because since I launched the podcast 3 years ago, I put out a podcast episode every single Wednesday. Sometimes I even put out bonus episodes. And I've found that the growth that I've seen with Journey to Launch, like the brand and who I am, was really the podcast. The podcast has been my main source of showing the world what I can do, who I am, and helping people. And with that, I made a commitment when I started that I was going to put an episode out. Now, I got to say, that doesn't mean I'm going to do that all the time. I've been toying with taking some breaks here and there, doing some replay episodes. But I want to just impress upon you right now, if you're listening, that if you have a goal, whether it is maybe side hustle related or career related or money related, that you're not going to get every step of the process right all of the time. Lord knows I don't get everything right with this podcast all the time. I've improved so much since starting, and I have a long way to go. You know, there's a gap between what we currently have and want and what we foresee in the future, right? There's always a gap between where you stand and where you want to be. Now, if you wait until everything's perfect before you take action to get to the ultimate place, you'll never move. And so you only learn what you need to change, what you need to do by taking movement. And so for me, being consistent, no matter what, being persistent has helped me all these years. So I want to encourage you that consistency and persistency is the thing. Don't aim for perfect. Just aim to get it done. And trust me, as you go, whether it's with your budget, whether it's with negotiating a salary, whether it is with navigating personal relationships, whatever, you won't know until you speak up, until you try something, and then you can adjust. But you got to be consistent and persistent. So that's my kind of tip one about making it 3 years in podcasting and Journey to Launch. Number two, I would say don't be afraid to pivot, change your mind, and roll with the punches. Listen, you can change your mind. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. It's okay if you had goals that changed. Look, I started Journey to Launch in terms of as a blog and then the podcast. And I had these goals to aggressively reach financial independence in a short time frame. And I've adjusted that. You know, now I have a more balanced approach. If it takes me longer, but I'm happier because of it, that's fine with me. And so you can change your mind. Maybe you did start saying you wanted to quit your job and retire early. And as you've gotten on the journey, you realize things about yourself. You thought, okay, this maybe entrepreneurship isn't for me. I want to do something different. Maybe I just want to take a sabbatical or a break. You can change your mind. And if you feel like A today and you change it to B tomorrow, it's okay. And then if you change it to C the next week, that's okay too. I think so many people change their minds, but they are afraid to share that their minds are changed and they stay committed to an outdated thought process that doesn't serve them anymore. And it's okay to understand that you'll make mistakes, right? It's okay. You don't have it all figured out. So how can you know your ultimate path if you've never gotten there, right? So a lot of this is going to take calibration and trying things and pivoting and going down different roads that may lead to dead ends. That's okay. You turn around and you go down the next road. That's what I say. Don't be afraid to pivot and change your mind. Roll with the punches. There are things that I've thought maybe in the beginning that I maybe even said on this podcast where I don't necessarily feel the same way anymore. But I just want you to be flexible with yourself here. This is life. We only get one shot of this, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We are all figuring this out. So roll with the punches, just like with, your spending and your budget and your money. There are things outside of your control. And so you have to roll with the changes. And my third thing, kind of just reflections and what I've learned after doing the podcast for 3 years, is I actually put this on my Instagram a few weeks ago. And it's when I first heard it, I did hear it on another podcast. I forgot the person who said it, but this is not my quote, but it just spoke to me so much. This is what it is. Speak what you seek until you've seen what you say. Let me say that again. Speak what you seek until you've seen what you say. That is such a powerful statement to me. And I hope for you, if it touched you the way it touched me the first time I heard it, is that it means that maybe things are not the way you want them to be just yet. But it doesn't mean you need to dwell in the negativity or the realities, honestly, of your situation. Anyone I've known, even myself, If it was trying to get somewhere else from where I currently am, it's because I saw it. I saw the vision and I spoke to that vision. I spoke to people who also believed in that vision or already were at that vision. So I spoke it into existence. I thought it into existence. I felt it into existence. And I can't tell you that when I started this podcast, I knew that I'd, reach a 1.7 million downloads and have all these accolades for it. I had a feeling, honestly, because I know once I get committed to something how I am. But as I started to go, I put myself in that realm that I could be as big as Tim Ferriss. Why not? Oprah can call me for like a show. Why not? This is the way you think. If you think anything different, meaning, and now I want to make sure it doesn't mean that you can't have doubts. I have doubts all the time. I have moments where I'm just like, what are you doing? This is not going to work. Why'd you quit your job? Like, I have those moments. But what overrides those moments every time is the overall arching default. Like, my default is always looking at what's working, looking at what's possible, and then going towards that. And so speak what you seek until you've seen what you say. I'm telling you, changing your mindset and the realities of the world. If you don't like what you're focusing on, focus on something else. See something else is what has helped me to this day. And I will continue to implement that. And it doesn't mean, again, you're going to get it perfect each day. It's not like every day you wake up, you're going to be Buddha and everything's great and positive. No, not saying that. But have that be your default, that your override, right? That computer kind of, if we all have a computer system, your default is the more positive way to look and deal with things. All right. So those were my 3 little reflections about having the podcast, getting it to where it's been over the past 3 years. But now I want to get to why you've come, why you're listening, is that I wanted to share voices of journeyers just like yourself. So a few episodes ago, I asked for you guys to send in your voice notes to help me celebrate the anniversary. And so that's what we're going to do now. And I did listen to everyone. I do believe I got most of them. If I didn't, I listened. Trust me, I listened to every single one. I couldn't include everything, but here are the ones I want you to hear. Thank you in advance, everyone, again, for listening to the show, supporting the show, telling a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate it so much. Okay, now let's get into the first call from Krishan. And Krishan says she's basically, since listening to the podcast, she has a better money mindset and that you need to do the hard work. So let's listen to what Krishan has to say.
Hi, Jamila. My name is Krishan Dene, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. First, I want to say congratulations on reaching your 3-year podcast anniversary. I'm so proud of you, and you're such an inspiration to our community. Other than learning so much about personal finance and how to be financially independent, your show and your story has inspired me to also tell my story to the world by starting a blog. You've inspired me to accept no excuses, throw out the fear, and just do it. You were also one of the first money shows that I binged all of 2018. And since 2018, I've developed a better money mindset, helped my friends and family do the same, and paid off more than $77,000 of debt. My money tip for your journeyers is to do the hard work, believe in yourself the entire time, don't take your eye off the goal, and make it fun. Thank you, Jamila, so much for being a part of my debt-free story. Keep on journeying, Jamila.
All right. Thank you, Krishan. That was awesome. All right. Next caller is Daisy. This one, when I heard it, oh my gosh, I got a little emotional. Daisy, I'm just going to let you hear it. Listen to Daisy.
Hello, Jamila. My name is Daisy Lee. I'm new at this, but your information has inspired me. And even though I am in my 60s, it's helping me understand finances. Daisy Lee, thank you.
Okay, did you hear that? It's never too late to start. Daisy's turning 62. It's never too late to start. And so I hope that is encouragement for anyone who listens and feels like they've started late, or maybe you have someone in your life that you want to encourage. Let them listen to this episode and to Daisy's note. It's never too late to start. Okay, next up is Miriam.
Hi, Jamila. This is Miriam from Cleveland, Ohio. Since starting to listen to the Journey to Launch podcast, I have invested over $20,000 in various investment accounts, including the 457. I've paid off my car. I'm about to get my student loans forgiven as soon as I get signatures on them. and I'm actually changing careers because I was so nervous before and thought I was going to be stuck in a job I hated forever. My tip for other journeyers would be to start investing small until you get comfortable. I started with just $100 and watched it for a while until I started investing more. And now I have a net worth of almost $90,000. Thanks for everything you do. Bye.
Okay, Miriam, thank you so much. And I love your tip for journeyers. Start small. Even if it's $100, $10, start small, build that habit. Great tip, Miriam. Thank you. All right, next up is Kanika. Kanika?
Hi, Jamila. My name is Kanika Jones, and I'm located in Hampton, Virginia. And I just wanted to leave this voicemail here for you just to let you know how much I appreciate everything that you do with your podcast. I've been listening to your podcast as a journeyer for about a year and a half. And prior to listening to your podcast, I was terrible with money. I could not save any money. This was kind of like the story of my life, that I couldn't save any type of money. Money was just running through my hands. I was living paycheck to paycheck. So listening to your podcast, number one, helped me as a business owner myself, an entrepreneur. It actually gave me ideas to kind of expand my business and be able to do more things in my business to be able to generate more income. But then also too, it gave me the money mindset to not only be able to make more money, but to also be able to save money. So I was able to reach a goal of mine, which was for me to be able to save $11,000 in 6 months. So even through the pandemic, just doing and using a lot of the tools that you provided, I was able to go through and save $11,000 in this pandemic in the first 6 months. So again, I appreciate everything that you do. Keep doing what you do in your podcast. I tune in every single Wednesday, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you, Kanika. Yes, there is hope for everyone. And even if you feel that you are terrible with money, which by the way, no one is terrible with money, but if you feel that way, it's not true, but you can make changes. Great job in saving all that money. Next up, we have Adrian.
Hi, Jamila. I'm Andreen from Northern Virginia, but like you, I'm also first generation from Jamaica. After a few episodes, I was hooked. I enjoy your personal finance lessons, guests, and focus on other areas that influence our ability to reach our financial goals, like habits and mindset. I introduced your podcast to my boyfriend, and now it's one of the tools we use to discuss finance together. It's helped us talk honestly about finances and life goals. As we grow together, I'm more secure in our ability to have these conversations before we make further steps together. So thank you. Thank you for providing this vehicle, and I hope your words continue to bring more couples closer together.
Okay, Adrian, fellow Jamaican. Hey, bup. I love how you talked about getting your partner on board. That's one of the things that has helped me immensely, and it's something that I always recommend. If you do have a partner, get them on board if you can. Next up, we have Benita.
Hello, my name is Benita Gordon. I am here in Florida, even though I'm from Virginia. And I wanted to say happy anniversary, but I also wanted to say to you, thank you. I found your podcast as I was seeking podcasts that I could listen to for women of color about financial freedom and eliminating debt. And the moment I found your podcast, I immediately listened to the current one and went back, and for the rest of the week, listened to all the ones previous. So I think I found you maybe in your after your first year. So I've been listening now for about 2 years. I just wanted to say that I have shared your podcast. I will continue to share your podcast in my sister circles. Your resources, your stories, the people that you interview on a podcast, just the plethora of knowledge and understanding and transparency, priceless, and I appreciate it. I also wanted to let you know that I have taken with me from your podcast all the time that before I can be on fire, I have to make sure that I do what I need to do for myself. I can't be on fire for anyone else but me. So I'm going to pay down my debt. I'm going to invest. I'm going to save. I'm going to be strategic about my profession, my career, and getting paid what I am worth. Thank you. Happy anniversary. And I'm excited about what you're going to bring to us moving forward and how you're going to help us.
All right. I just love how Benita's like, listen, I'm going to fill up my tank first before I can gas up anyone else's tank. Yes, Benita. Love that. All right. Now we have Yuri from Sydney from Down Under.
Hi, happy 3 years to the Journey to Launch podcast. And to Jamila, congratulations. My name is Yuri from Sydney, Australia. And the biggest thing I've gained after listening to the Journey to Launch podcast is motivation and confidence to begin my journey to financial freedom. All the guest speakers seem to be really amazing, including Jamila, and I really enjoy the advice that they give out. And although I'm listening from down under, I still find the information really relevant, so thank you. I've managed to stick to a budget plan which allows me to save 55% of my income. And I also finally found the courage to invest in index funds, which I intend to use towards my early retirement. So thank you so much to Jamila for all the advice through the podcast. My money tip for all the journeyers out there is to treat your money with respect, and your money will respect you back. Track your money spending habits and make it a point to be intentional with each dollar that you earn, because after all, we worked so hard for it. Big thanks to Jamila for creating such a fun, easy to understand and relatable podcast. And I just want to say, keep on journeying, journeyers. Thank you.
Thanks, Yuri, for that. It's always amazing when I hear that people are listening from all over the globe. It just shows you that, location does not matter, even, different currencies and the way that our countries look at investing. Like, the goal is the same, to have freedom. So congrats on saving all that money, too. That's amazing. Next up is Dr. Kimmy, who's also a podcaster. I was on her podcast, Productive on Purpose. Let's hear what Dr. Kimmy has to say.
Hey Jamila, it's Dr. Kimmy. I am so happy for you. I found your podcast about 3 years ago, and it was a really dark time in my life because my mother had just passed away and I was in a bit of a tailspin. But, I was searching and looking for just a new way to get a hold of my life. And I found your podcast, and ever since then, I've been a journeyer. So thank you for your fresh approach to personal finance. What I really love about what you do is that you don't just focus on, budgeting and things like that. You really teach us that we can monetize ourselves, leverage our knowledge and our expertise in order to widen the gap and increase our income. So because of you, I started my own podcast. Because of you and your inspiration, I monetized that podcast rather quickly. And I just thank you for showing up each and every week for your community. Every single week that I show up for my community, I think about you. And the weeks that I feel like I want to kind of slip off or slack off, I remember that you're there every single Wednesday for us. So thank you for all that you've done. And congratulations on making it to this point.
Thanks so much, Dr. Kimmy. That was too sweet. Love it. Love it. All right. And then the last voicemail is from Sheridan, who's also a Money Launch Club member. Let's hear from Sheridan.
Hey, Jamila, it's Sheridan from Denver, Colorado. This past year, listening to the podcast and being a member of the Money Launch Club has given me so much, and it's added a ton of value to my life. Because of the resources that you have given us through the Launch Club and the podcast, I have paid over $8,800 worth of debt and saved over $1,500. And while those numbers don't seem like a lot, it's important to put it in some context. I was making less than $50,000 a year, and I was living in a downtown apartment in a moderately expensive city to live in. So being able to do that while my rent was $1,800 a month is just super awesome to me. Your community has given me so much, and it has taught me a ton, and it's been pretty invaluable. And I'm really excited to have another year with you and the podcast and the Launch Club.
Thank you so much, Sheridan, for sharing, for being a listener of the podcast and a Money Launch Club member. You're making such great strides. And I love how she just pointed out that even though she's not making, six figures, she's able to make progress to her money goals. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone who submitted a voicemail. Like I said, I'm sorry if I couldn't get to play yours, but trust me, I listened to every one of them. And even if you didn't send anything in, I know you're listening. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you 100%. Once again, doors to the Money Launch Club, they are open. So if you are interested in joining us into deepening our relationship, to deepening your journey to financial freedom and independence, to get the tools and support that you want and need, doors are open until July 23rd. I'm only opening doors. At this point, I'm thinking only twice a year. So this is your chance to join if you are on the fence. Go to moneylaunchclub.com. And I'm going to just say this, even if, you don't become a member, that I'm here for you. The podcast, I'm committed to that being the way that I connect and help people, and you, specifically journeyers, that no matter what you decide, the fact that you just listen to this episode, this podcast, and you come back every week and you're trying your best, you are a try and true journeyer, no matter what. But of course, if you want to join us in the Money Launch Club, come on. But honestly, I'm just happy that you're here with me on this journey. Like I am every week, I'm happy. So like always, until next week, keep on journeying, journeyers. Don't forget, if you want the episode show notes to get any of the links mentioned in this episode, go to journeytolaunch.com or click the description wherever you're listening to this to get the link to the show notes. And if you want that free jumpstart guide to help you on your financial freedom journey, text launch to 33777. Text launch to 33777 to get your free guide today, or go to journeytolaunch.com/jumpstart. If you want to support me and the podcast and love the free content and information that you get here are 4 ways that you can support me and the show. 1, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever you listen, whether that's Apple Podcasts, that purple app on your phone, your Android device, YouTube, Spotify, wherever it is that you happen to listen, just subscribe so you are not missing an episode. And if you're happening to listen to this in Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe there. I appreciate and read every single review. Number 2, follow me on my social media accounts. I'm at Journey to Launch on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I love, love, love interacting with journeyers there. 3, support and check out the sponsors of this show if you hear something that interests you. Sponsors are the main ways we keep the podcast lights on here, so show them some love for supporting your girl. 4, and last but not least, share this episode, this podcast, with a friend or family member or coworker so that we can spread the message of Journey to Launch. All right, that's it. Until next week, keep on journeying, journeyers.